quite a few different things for the project, and I'm one of the people who's been here from the start.
Oh yeah.
So we usually run this panel every year. You'll probably see us again next year if you come back.
My name's Michael on the Let's Go project. My name's Paco Slim. I've been in the project since 2014. I also joined around the same time as him with 999. I'm doing a lot of stuff. I'm directing some of our series. I'm editing one right now, and I voice act for us. Just fun times. Yay!
If you've ever wanted to get started with a voice acting project, there is a lot that is involved with it. It's not just, it could be acting or editing or directing. There's a lot of different sides to it that you can approach from if you want to get involved.
In this project, typically what we do is we take something that either doesn't have an English dub, a game popular, or or just we give something alternate. If there's a lot of requests for it, we'll do it. We have, I don't know how many series.
We've finished 10 so far. We've got another 8 in the works. A couple more have already been cast and are going to start being posted.
Yeah.
We also do one-off side things, just for comedy or
once in a while.
Fun.
Yeah.
We've got a couple songs too.
Songs.
Song
of the Year. No, there's a lot of stuff we do. I think the project's been going on since 2012?
2013.
2013. It's been going strong. We're getting new members every year. We got at least 10 new members this year.
Just with our last project.
Just with our last project.
Yeah, we got a lot of new people this year.
A lot of new people.
Could have some new people next year, maybe even some of you.
Oh, hey there.
It's all from auditions.
Yeah, and the thing is being Let's Dub, we do a lot of voice acting. Fan-produced stuff. So voice acting, I'm sure you're all aware, you're at an anime convention at this point. You just voice act. You act with your voice.
Which has two very important parts of it.
Yes, it does.
There's both the voice and the acting. You can't really have one without the other. You can have the best voice in the world, but if you can't act, you're not a voice actor. And meanwhile, you can also, if you have any theater experience for stage or anything else like that, you probably know a lot about the acting component and a lot about expressing yourself. But it needs to be done solely through your voice because that's the only way that you'll be able to reach your audience. They can't see the look on your face. They can't see how you hold yourself with your posture. All they can hear is how you sound.
Yeah.
That's nothing right now. It's not good.
All right.
Pretty good run through.
All right. With the, getting started, it starts at the auditions. For the online and amateur voice acting stuff, it's not too hard to find projects online. There's so many websites.
Recommend one for the president.
We can talk about them, yeah.
Okay.
We have, the one we use most commonly is Behind the Voice Actors.
They have their cast and call feature. You can audition for those.
Particularly it's a website where they list what voice actors acted in what as credits, like IMDb, fan run.
They started as a database site. They're pretty good now, but they also have a cast and call feature they started in early 2013.
Something like that.
Where you can put up your own projects or you can audition for other people's projects. And that's been going for quite a while now, so that's one of the better resources for getting started as an amateur voice actor.
It's fairly easy to use. It has a pretty good interface in comparison to some of the ones we're going to talk about.
Yes.
Something that makes that one pretty unique is that you can also hear other people's auditions. So if you were thinking about going for a particular character, you can hear what other people's takes on the character have been so far to kind of help yourself get a better idea. Because the way it typically works is a director will post a couple lines for a character and a basic description of what the character is like, what the voice is like, and then they'll just tell actors to go for it. So it can help to have those guidelines. Voice Acting Alliance in particular, that's actually how I got started with Peter's projects quite some time ago, because people will post their projects just a basic, these are the characters that I need, this is the basic summary of the series, this is the sort of voices we're going for. And then you're kind of free to just explore that and do what you want to do, auditions for the characters that you want. You don't have to audition for everyone, just whoever you think that you would be good for. And then you don't have kind of that pressure of other people hearing your voice if you were not that comfortable with that at start.
And with Voice Acting Alliance being around as long as it has been, that's probably when it's up, it's the easiest way to find legitimate paid work. People are still going around. Got their start on there.
Voice Acting Alliance, Voice Acting Club, Behind the Voice Actors, Pro Boards.
Cast and Call Club is a newer one. Cast and Call Club is a newer one. They're kind of based off the Behind the Voice Actors Cast and Call model. So they don't have quite as much activity there since they're newer, but that's another good alternative if you want something similar to that, with the interactivity, being able to hear the competition, that kind of thing.
And the nice thing about all these websites is that it is so easy to get started.
Yeah.
Literally anyone can post a thread and say, hey, this is my new project, this is what I want to do, this is who I need. But there's also a downside to that.
That can be a problem.
Because literally anyone can start it up, that doesn't necessarily mean that they know what they're doing.
Basically, you'd think that a lot of people would have that all together if they're putting up a project. But some people are kids. They just found a casting website. They're like, hey, it'd be nice to have some voices for my OCs or something.
Hey, I like One Piece. I want to dub the entire series.
Yeah, yeah, stuff like that. And
God, I wish that was a joke.
It's not a joke.
Exactly.
yeah, no, those projects are very common. It's a lot to deal with when you have to reach for projects, I guess, because you're looking through everything. And like I said, grammar, if it doesn't look all that good.
If someone doesn't take the time to proofread, chances are they're not going to take the time to edit either. And editing is very important when it actually comes to creating a polished piece.
Yeah, and it would be also important if you're in the networking business of getting to know other voice actors, to hear the reputations of some of the people before you audition. Some people are a little hard to work with, and they'll have a reputation for that if they've been around long enough. And it'd be nice to know that going in. Sometimes you won't, but the one thing is if the project doesn't look like it's going to be worthwhile, you really don't have to stick around.
But another note about that, I'm going to dub all of One Piece. That's not going to happen. Honestly, any project that you see that says that they're going to dub an entire series or even an entire season, chances are, if they haven't done any big projects before, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So what you'll want to look for when if you're actually going to go for a project that completes is you'll want to see, okay, I want to do this specific scene with these specific characters. You'll want to see, I just want to do episode 1 and see where it goes from there. Just little stuff like that, instead of trying to overreach and then not accomplish anything because everyone leaves by the time it gets that far.
Yeah. It's important going in to have all the information. But you'll also need quite a bit of the practice. So there's a lot of different places you can go to actually get acting practice. I know one very popular option is the voice actor Crispin Freeman, who I'm sure you all know is Winston in Overwatch. He has his own voice acting course, online and in person. His is in LA, so you'd have to go down there. But online, he does a very good voice acting workshop over Skype, and you just contact him. He goes over a couple scripts. He'll give you a character. It's very one-on-one. He doesn't talk to the whole class at the same time. He does it individually. He'll talk to you. He'll get something. He'll work out the differences of what you should do versus what you shouldn't do. And he's very, very hands-on, and it's really, really helpful.
He also has some great articles up about stuff like how to create a good recording setup, how to deal with this sort of emotion, how to be professional. He has articles on all of that, just posted publicly for anyone to read for tips on how to get started.
Wow. That's voice acting mastery.
Yes, yeah. Voice acting mastery. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
There's also some classes, which a handful of us have taken, if you would like to talk about that.
Does that one go here? Do you know?
No.
I don't think it goes here, but it's still good to mention.
There's a Bang Zoom workshop that they do sometimes. It's usually based in California, but they've gone to other places like New York and some other places. Taught by usually Tony Oliver. And he goes over basics of voice acting, such as basic breathing techniques and stuff, projecting, how to act, how to work with the mic, how to take direction, that kind of stuff. And it's pretty helpful.
The main thing about it is it's an actual way to get practice doing dubbing.
Yes.
I don't know about here, but I'm not aware of a lot of voice acting training places where you actually get to stand in a professional studio looking at a screen with a script in front of you and actually practicing ADR, which is what dubbing is.
Yeah.
You watch the lip flaps, you try to match it and act at the same time. It's tough, and it's really nice to actually get practice for that if that's something you're looking to get into.
if you're starting earlier than that with just acting to begin with and voice acting for the first time, honestly, another good step for that is just auditions.
Yeah.
You'll see on these websites thousands and thousands of characters listed with different emotions, different types, different scenarios. And when I got started, I actually didn't want to be an actor. I was in charge of a different voice acting project because the director had stepped down. And so I wanted to see how other directors ran things. So I put forth like 200, 300 auditions because that's what I do. And so I just auditioned for all of those characters and just sent them off to see what sticked. And while I was doing that, I was practicing with my voice. I was deciding what sort of characters I actually enjoy. And also I was interacting with other directors and seeing how they run their projects, for how they do either run their auditions or how they set deadlines, how they communicate with their actors, how much directing they do. And everyone does have a very different style.
And if you're getting into the auditioning online, one thing to note is how to submit the auditions, which a lot of these online voice acting auditions are done on these websites, as we've said, and they take MP3s, waves, stuff like that. Those are sound files. And there's a lot of different ways if you want to get started to do that. You need just a microphone. There's USB mics out there that are pretty affordable if you're just getting started. If not, you might get actual interfaces.
Yeah.
But when you're doing this, you can record in something like, say, Audacity, or for more people with a little bit more money, there's Audition. Audition is something that is used. And if you want something on the professional level, that's Pro Tools, but probably not best to start with something that's advanced like that.
Probably don't jump into that.
Don't jump
away.
into that.
Those are all fantastic. Audacity is free and very easy to use. You press record.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I have auditioned, but when I'm butting in. But when I actually record, I use Audacity because it runs better on my laptop.
And Audition's great for editing.
And Audition is great for editing. So you develop your own workflow the longer you do it. So.
Yeah. With all of the different things, it's important not to send raw files that have been unedited. I'm not talking about like chopping it up and splicing it, but noise removal. If you're recording in a space, make sure you don't have any background noise going on, like a fan or a TV. Yeah.
Lines have been submitted for projects before with music running in the background. You want to turn that off. You want to make sure you have a quiet space at the very bare minimum to start with.
Yeah. There's also the importance of leveling, making sure that your audio isn't too loud and peaking.
Or too quiet.
Or too quiet, that's bad. It'd be nice to hear the voice acting.
Yes.
So leveling is good. And if you want to make sure that the leveling is good, just listen to it yourself with headphones. And that is, if you're listening back to your auditions, you have to listen with headphones.
Which you should always be doing.
Yeah.
Always listen to your audition before you send it off. Don't do this to become self-conscious about your own work, but because you need to know how you sound. And you might decide, hey, I should have said this slightly differently. So then you do it again.
You miss things if you're just listening through speakers.
You also might notice that you recorded with the wrong mic. It's happened to me a couple
Oh
times.
yeah, if you're not listening and you forgot to plug in the mic, and
Yeah.
your laptop audio's coming in. It's great.
It's not good.
Yeah.
You can catch a lot of that stuff with background removal, because in things like Audacity, the first thing that you'll want to do is actually record some silence. Record what the room sounds like without you talking. And then you can use that sample within the tool to take that out of the actual voice recording itself.
And both Audacity and Audition have noise removal. I think it's even called the same thing in both. So you just do the noise removal, take that area, press the noise removal button to take a little sample of that, select the entire audio, and you do it again. And it just essentially removes any background whizzing.
In Audacity, it's get noise profile. So you highlight,
Yes.
you record a few seconds of silence before you talk, highlight that, get noise profile and noise removal, then run the actual noise removal on the whole thing.
I'm sure there's tutorials online if you want to actually get a visual representation of that. Just as important as all of that is the voices themselves and acting. It's on the list.
Yes. Go for it.
Okay.
Still scrolling.
Okay. I'll say everything now. Voice acting is essentially, as we've already said, acting. A lot of times there's misinterpretation. That it's misperception. Whatever. Okay. Correct me.
Conception.
Okay, I get it. Impersonations, essentially. A lot of people get in wanting to do impressions. Impressions, there's nothing wrong with impressions. There's a market for that. But if you're doing voice acting starting off, it's best to find out what your voice sounds like, what you can do with your voice, and the qualities of your voice, so that you know how to work that and make it into something special. Because people like Steve Bloom, for example, if you hear him, you know what he sounds like.
Yeah, and he basically uses his regular voice, because a lot of people, on top of like thinking impressions are voice acting, they'll think to do voice acting you have to be able to do other voices. But since acting is the key word of voice acting, you can actually act in your own voice.
Yeah.
You just have to find what that might be good for.
As long as it fits the character.
Yeah.
And chances are, you don't actually know what you're good at yet. Honestly, straight up, nobody knows what they sound like or what they're good at until they actually try out different things. And they might have a very different specialty than you expected. It's a very important thing to find out. And you can do that by auditioning for things, maybe bouncing it off a friend saying, hey, what do you think about this? And getting a bit of feedback back to that. But also with that, it's really important to keep track of things. Don't just delete your old auditions when you're done with them, save them. Hold on to them, and a couple months from now, look back and listen to them again and say, wow, I thought that sounded like an old lady. No way, I'm much better at that now.
Warm-ups also. Making sure your voice is not totally wrecked. Like, maybe don't record right after waking up, unless you actually are trying to sound like super deep.
I had to do that one time, just put that out there.
Yeah.
Drinking a lot of water, vocal warm-ups, tongue twisters, funny faces, whatever you can do to just get everything moving. A lot of voice acting is making faces.
Yes. What was it? Oh yeah, sometimes people think that when you're voice acting you shouldn't be moving around, but you actually can move around. Sometimes doing a motion that goes with what your character's doing actually helps you get into the mindset of the character to do the thing.
Throw a punch if
Throw
your
a punch if
character's
you're
throwing
punching.
a punch.
You'll sound tense. If you just try to do a punch noise without actually doing something, it might just sound like I'm punching.
Maybe
It won't sound right.
Plus, people can hear when you smile.
Yeah.
Honestly, it sounds weird to say, but if you say lines in a completely straight face, making no emotion, and you're trying to get emotion across, that's not going to happen because there's so many different things that go into your voice that if you smile, you can hear when someone's smiling on the phone. You can hear when someone's smiling when they're acting. You can hear when somebody's not putting that into it. And there is a disconnect.
In the warm-ups, there is some foods and drinks that are good that you can use. We have listed here water. Water is really important because being dehydrated in general is bad, but for voice acting also it doesn't sound good. Tea, honey, those are good for soothing the throat. Coffee, actually, with caffeine, it stimulates blood flow in the throat. You never know when that can be helpful, but it's there. Milk also coats the vocal cords.
Milk is actually really good if you're trying to go outside of your range. Like, I have a friend who will always drink a glass of milk before trying to sing really high because it helps them by coating that.
Yeah, milk is good for certain qualities, but it's not good for everything.
Not good for everything.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to go a little outside of your range, it can help soothe your throat as you're trying to go there.
And there's the legendary voice acting thing of green apples.
Yes.
Green apples.
The legend.
It's supposed to help with mouth noises, right?
Yeah, if you
Like-
have ever talked, your noise makes mouth. Yes, that's correct. Yeah, that's what it
Noise
does.
makes mouth, yeah.
No, but
That's
your
correct.
mouth makes noises when you don't want it to. There's tongue clicks. There's stuff popping off all the time.
Little bits of food in your mouth.
Yeah. So for some reason, green apples are really good at taking away that.
Yeah.
And it just works. I don't know why it works.
Magic.
Magic.
Green apples are magic. You heard it here.
Yeah.
All right.
And food's not to eat.
Yeah.
So,
There's some things you don't want to try.
Salty foods are not good. They dehydrate your throat, dehydrate your mouth.
Preparation is very important.
Yes.
You also don't want your stomach to be grumbling when you're trying to record.
So don't be really hungry. Don't eat too much. Don't voice act right after you've had like a giant meal or something.
Yeah. Sugary foods are also not great.
Yeah.
They do fancy schmancy stuff to your voice that doesn't sound good. Adds to mouth clicks and such.